We'll be sharing final thoughts in a minute here. Justin, would you grab the rest of our staff and bring them in? Sarah, Joy, and Stephanie. I'd like to thank our discussion leaders. We're about to share some final thoughts for the conference. And so I know you've all been here all the way through, in some cases from 4 a.m. until 5 p.m. And so I'm especially appreciative of all that work. We want to share a few final thoughts. I know we've got a few people filing in, a few folks still proceeding in, but I want to remind you all that our sponsors made this possible, that this beautiful venue ain't cheap, and our sponsors helped us to cover that. So I want to turn it over now for some final thoughts to our presenting sponsor, Workiva, and Mike Starr, after which I will beg your patience for a couple of thank yous. Let's give it for Mike.
Is this mic working? Is this working? Yes. Good. I really don't like standing behind a podium. I was thinking about what to say, and I decided to tell you a story. So the story goes like this. About 2.5 years ago, I went across the street from the SEC to have coffee at Ebenezer's. Ebenezer's is a little coffee shop that's just across the street from the SEC. And I met Hudson Hollister there. And I asked Hudson how it was going. Hudson said, gee, I don't know. It's tough. At that time, John Runyon had given him free space. He wasn't taking a salary. He talked a little bit about the difficulty in borrowing money from friends and family. And when you look around today and you look at the lineup that we had and you look at the attendance that we had, he made all of this possible. So first of all, I'd just like to thank Hudson for putting on a great show and a great conference. Then I was sitting in Salon 3 listening to the session there and listening to Christina Ho, and she said something that I thought was very appropriate for you. She referred to a quote that she had read, and I think it's an old African proverb, actually. And the proverb goes something like this: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. If you've listened closely today, this is a long journey. This really isn't about technology, this movement from static paper documents to dynamic data reporting. It's about changing processes and changing people. That's a big transformation, and it takes time. And it takes all of us working together to make that happen. This organization that Hudson started is one that deals with the policymakers and drives policy change. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't think we would have a Data Act as it's currently written without the effort that Hudson put into pushing it, educating, talking to policymakers to make it happen. So, besides asking you to thank Hudson, I've got one more request. If you agree with me, and if you agree with my organization that this is something that's really important for our country, it's important for our economy, it's important for our financial well-being, then contribute to this effort. Become a member. Have your organization become a member. And if you don't want to become a member, just work with us to reach out to policymakers. Because this is a change that's inevitable. And what we want to do is we don't want to go fast and go alone. We want to go far and go together. So thank you for staying. Thank you for being here. And most of all, let's make it happen together because we are going to change the world. Thank you.
Thanks. I don't want to have to follow that. I thank Mike, but there are some other people that deserve your recognition. I have to point to the staff of the coalition. I want, when I call them out, please wave. Justin Duncan, our policy associate, who has put in many overtime hours over the past couple of weeks. Stephanie Craig, our communications director, who has, if you've seen what's happened with our email newsletter and if you've seen how our reach has broadened over the last few months, it's because of Stephanie. And the only person I know who is able to wrangle vendors and deliver events for about half the cost anybody else could that get these reviews, our events and development director, Sarah Joy Hayes. We have 2 policy predictions for you. On May 9th, by May 9th, 2015, Treasury and OMB are obliged to announce the government-wide data standards under the Data Act for federal spending. And I predict that they will give us some form of the legal entity identifier for grantees and contractors. I predict that they'll give us some form of XBRL to bring together the disparate reporting streams, and that for the first time in history, once those are applied, the whole structure of federal spending will be visible. Second prediction, and final prediction, I predict that in 2015, we will see legislation in the US Congress to require financial regulators to specify data standards for what they collect. And that may sound technical, but it will be revolutionary. Thank you for joining us. Travel safely. Godspeed.